About 2 years ago, I made one of the biggest health decisions in my life. After kind of flip flopping and having to look back at some old demons of mine, I chose to get vaccinated against COVID. This was a very important health decision for me because we were in the middle of a pandemic. It was COVID was something that was affecting the whole entire nation, and of course, was also affecting my community. Um, and at the time, I was starting to consider being with someone. I wanted to find a partner, and the idea of infecting a potential partner was not something that I would be happy with. I would feel a lot of guilt. So I decided to protect myself, protect my community, and protect the people that I love. It was a difficult choice because I unfortunately fell down a rabbit hole of anti vax beliefs in the past, and that will be a topic that I will be discussing further in this video. And because of that, I just took a very long time to make a decision because I felt torn. I knew what was best for me and my community, but my past beliefs were coming back to bite me. I also want to discuss in this video about what made me change my mind so that I can learn lessons not only for myself, but so that people within the public health community can also use my experience to better communicate with others. So when I go back in time, I notice a lot of my negative beliefs in terms of healthcare and public health stemmed from my relationship with my pediatrician. My family were always the people who would communicate with her. A lot of the times, me as a patient was my relationship with the pediatrician wasn't great. My family would communicate with her a lot. I didn't seem to have a say. I felt oftentimes ignored. I was in the room, they were talking about me, but not necessarily including me in the conversation. This is especially applicable in regards to me being openly trans now. I've always shown signs of gender nonconformity, but the pediatrician never really explored that, never really questioned that. And I feel that because my family basically forced me to conform for so long, that also kind of plays into it because they would communicate with her. And because I never had a say in the conversation, I didn't really have much of a say. I couldn't really bring up the fact that I was feeling uncomfortable with certain things, and I wasn't really given much intervention in regards to that. And especially after growing up and knowing that there was a whole body of medical knowledge in my favor, and no one never really bothered to get out of their way to give me the help that I needed, I felt betrayed. I felt very, very betrayed. So, in that sense, my distrust is in a way warranted. But the dangerous thing of it all is because of my mistrust with this pediatrician, I unfortunately fell down an anti vax rabbit hole. Because there was that lack of trust, anything that quote unquote went against her practice felt okay. Like it was a form of rebellion. It was a form of, as ironic as this is going to sound, it was a form of payback in a way. But what I didn't know is I wasn't only hurting myself, I was also hurting my community by falling for these beliefs. It's really as the old saying goes, two wrongs don't make a right. She was definitely on the wrong page in not exploring the fact that I could, well, I am transgender, but the fact that I could be gender nonconforming at the time and seeking out help until I started to show mental health issues. But for me to have fallen for anti-vax beliefs didn't make me any much more correct on this. My behavior did have the potential of hurting other people, which is where we come to the part of how I got out of the rabbit hole. And I do have to thank my trans siblings out there. I do have a lot to thank on PSAs that were willing to include LGBTQ plus people. And this is really the part where I get a lot of the lessons on how to accurately provide public health information. Because when you see yourself out there, it definitely makes a difference. When I started to notice my trans siblings get their vaccination cards, woof their actual name, not their dead name, it made me reconsider. Maybe would I be respected? Would I be seen? So I decided to dabble with that, maybe explore that a little bit. Now, there was one PSA that I saw during the COVID vaccine public information efforts that really stood out to me, and it included one person who went by they them pronouns, and that really stuck out to me. It really did. That alone wasn't enough to make me reconsider, but adding that on top of seeing other queer, trans people getting vaccinated and being respected in the process, it really, really made me think. So I took a leap of faith, putting everything into consideration, the fact that I wanted to protect my community, the fact that I wanted to date someone, the fact that ultimately I did care for myself. And I took a leap of faith. I scheduled an appointment. Around May-ish was when I had my first dose. I had a lot to unload, and I did feel that I was heard and validated the whole time, which is something that I'm very thankful for. I'm very thankful for the folks down at the CVS that I went to get vaccinated. And it just happened to be a medical intern who was the one who vaccinated me the first time. And then the second round was actually given by the owner of the pharmacy, which was very wonderful. And the fact that I was respected the whole time and I was heard, even though it was ultimately a decision that for me at the time was very difficult, it did reestablish a lot of trust for me. And ultimately, it made me rethink a lot of my previous beliefs on healthcare. And I'm proud to say that after all things considered, it definitely made me reconsider my stance on vaccination. And it also made me reconsider a lot on how we discuss healthcare and how inclusion really, really matters. So in the future, as I do consider a career in public health and in healthcare, I do know the value of inclusion, not only as a lived experience, but I do realize that we have done a lot of wrong in the past. And in order to correct that, we do have to add people to the table that have been misrepresented and who have been unheard in healthcare. Because that's the way we combat misinformation. It's by including others. And that, I think, is my biggest takeaway from all this. On June 10th, which is actually the day that I launched this video, marks 2 years that I got my second dose. I to be honest, as many have said, I did not feel great the day after, but I definitely came off much stronger after everything. And ultimately, I'm very proud for taking that leap of faith. And I thank you for listening to my video essay on this very, very important topic to me. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.